Okay, do you want to talk first, Arne?
Yeah, I can start with something here.
Sure.
Well, I came to Canada in 1967 from Norway, and I lived in Toronto for about 4 years before I moved to Vancouver, and I worked for Pacific Press for 25 years as a compositor and a newspaper. So I didn't read the Langley Langley Advance because I lived in Vancouver then. But anyway, I moved out to Langley in 1975, and it's where we are today. So I've been here all this time, nearly 50 years now. So after I met Chris in 1982, we started talking and music and what we did before. And Chris, I think you sang in choirs before, and I sang with the band in Norway. I was in the band playing double bass, jazz band, 12, 14 people. And during that time, we also started a song quartet. We called ourselves the Viking. Very unusual name for Norway. Anyway, after a few more years, I started singing with another group, a quintet, then, which was those five. So then I remember all that, but coming here, there was no singing at all. I worked in Vancouver, Chris worked, but we met another couple.
Even at work in Norway, you guys would go to the bathroom during coffee break and sing and play the...
Yeah, because of good sound in there. Anyway, so we met through Chris. She worked through Air Canada, and we met another couple that we got along with, and we started harmonizing together. Almost every weekend we were singing different songs, and we sang at parties and all that stuff. And then his name was Dan. He was actually a member of Mount Baker Tupper in Bellingham, but he had a practice in Linden, so he dragged me down there, but it was a barbershop type of singing, so...
But it was only half an hour drive. It
was
the closest
okay.
that Arne could find, but it was a men's choir.
It was a men's choir. And that's where we also met Stan McQuarrie, and he also was a neighbor just around the corner here, and we started talking more about choir because his wife was interested in singing too. And like Chris, we wanted to sing together as a couple. So we got together with a whole bunch of people. I don't forget who they are, but...
When you and Stan had those conversations in Linden, he said, you know, there's someone that's just moved from the North Shore wants to start a choir in Langley. Why don't you come to the planning meetings? And that was the spring of 1992. 92. So about 4 or 5 of them met and arranged to hire someone. Well, they grabbed somebody out of retirement to come and direct, and hired an accompanist and found, we first started at Brookswood because we were mostly from South Langley. Yeah. And rehearsal started in September 1993.
But then we had to come up with a name. We didn't have a clue what we were going to call us. So looking through all the different names, we came up with Langley Community Chorus because we thought that's a good thing for like a community. And a couple to singing together or blended together. So that was good.
And there were no auditions.
No.
People didn't have to audition for the choir. No. That was important.
Yeah.
So it was pretty scary. With only 14, 15 members.
And we were only, I think, I was the only bass, maybe a couple of other bass, two more basses, and Stan was a tenor, the rest was women. So we went through a few years with lots of women, hardly any men. So that was kind of hard for the men. But anyway, we got going through it, and...
Can I tell the story about our other neighbor, our immediate neighbor?
Okay.
Well, I think this is... You know, we owe a debt of gratitude to somebody who lived on this street, who banged on our doorway, wanted to keep their sheep out in our acreage, and said something about something that was going on in Langley. And we said, oh, really? Oh. He said, what did he say?
Oh, you don't read the Langley papers? Because I used to work for the paper in Vancouver, so I was reading only the Vancouver Sun and Province.
And they were delivered
So
free
they-
to our door, and we weren't reading them. So we were kind of shamed into, finding out what was going on in Langley. And but he was also married to one of the movers and shakers in the Langley arts community.
Yeah.
We were so lucky. So she was involved in all kinds of arts groups, and
Arts
was
Council.
attached to the Langley Community Music School. So we had support right even before this whole barbershop thing down in Linden. They would drive us around to different church choirs to see if they would be a fit for us. Just the sweetest couple. And then when we did finally patch up a group of brave souls to go out into the community to sing, one of the gigs was Christmas carols at the
hockey
George Preston, what was
hockey
it called
rink.
then? Yeah, but it was the hockey rink in Brookswood for skaters. I mean, and here they are. These are these senior people sitting in the bleachers cheering us on. There's nobody else sitting there. So we
they were
had
the
that
only-
support from direct neighbors right from the get-go. And they were the ones that led us to, other art groups who showed us the way on how to survive, I guess.
Yeah. So I guess that was the beginning, more or less.
A great story of Genesis. That's awesome. It's
Yeah.
beautiful because it started out with that priority of community.
Yeah.
and getting to know
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if it hadn't been for that, who knows, we're just-
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I really enjoy it now more than ever because now I have more men singing, so I can relax a little bit. And it's so nice to hear all these other people around me, and it's just bringing joy to my heart and to be with everybody. So that's really nice. Yeah. So anyway, you can talk more than me because she remember all the details.
All the details.
So I can see.
He's a storyteller.
Yeah.
I'm a lists person. So I've got all the facts. What do you want to know?
Well,
The years, the dates.
Sure. Yeah. So you started out. It sounded like there were about 8 to 14. You said 14 people to start out with.
There were
about that.
15 paid up plus me
Oh.
because I was sick half the season and they didn't want to charge me money.
Oh.
So I was sort of like, I don't know. But I'd be in the audience even though I had laryngitis.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do that now, I guess. But I think only about 10 people showed up to sing the first concert.
How long did we have only
painful.
14, 15
It was
people?
15 people was the first year, the
And
first
then I had
season.
20
And then we had to close because we couldn't afford, with only that amount of people, we couldn't afford an accompanist and a proper accompanist.
No.
So the next, fall of 1993, we borrowed church choir directors for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
That was the only way. I mean, people are just so generous when it comes to music. But, really, today's honoraria would pay for the gas to come to rehearsal, really, is all it was.
Right.
And, but we were still out there singing, at the old-fashioned Fort festivals and caroling up and down Fort Langley's Glover Road and
freezing.
And we'd go into seniors' homes. We were invited twice a year to the extended care at Langley Memorial Hospital. There was always an annual Christmas Carol festival for choirs in Aldergrove. It was held in Aldergrove. And those really were highlights, I would say, because we were sharing it for free, and then they were also a bit of an ulterior motive for it because it would get us concert ready for our fundraising concerts for ourselves. So, but still, it was really lovely to get ourselves out there. And then we'd rehearsed in about 3 different high schools the first 10 years, and then it was about. I think our 4th or 5th director. We've had 8 directors. I think we had to hire 5 in 7 years. It was really tough because we had We weren't paying them. And we were scooping high school students as accompanists.
Yeah.
right until 2001 when the new facility for Langley Community Music School had a space for us to rehearse. They advertised for an accompanist for us. We had somebody who already had a developed CD and accompany us, and our numbers doubled because the newspapers had made full page articles on, and all we were doing was announcing that we were moving from a high school out in Poppy area to Langley Community Music School, and that's where our fan base was anyway. These were the people that were always coming to our concerts. They were the ones who guided us into becoming a nonprofit and register for a tax as a tax charity for tax purposes. And so by 2003, we were able to apply for grants and things like that. So the township has supported us. Actually, at the time, the mayor of the township was the one that said, "Oh, and because we would invite them to our concerts, and but we didn't know about the grants." So it was someone on the council that was at our concert and said, "By the way, are you applying for these?" And we didn't even know about them. So so we started getting support right from
the mayor
township
always
council.
came to the concert.
Well, we invited them. We'd send tickets to the newspapers and the council members and so on. But
And so how did you get connected with the music school when they opened up that?
it was through these people that were our direct neighbors. She was very, very supportive of the music school.
Yeah.
And so those were the groupies. They were the people who came to our concerts.
Yeah.
Well, I was a member of the onstage Langley before the music school was open, and we had meetings at the old music school. It was just a round building.
Yep, I remember.
And that's where Audrey, or the sheep farmer people was involved in. So I was with that for a few years.
Yeah, we were trying
That's
to
how
get
we met the mayors and all that through that.
Yeah.
And when the music school opened, I don't know if we got there just after.
when they renovated. It was their first year.
I think so.
We were offered a space.
Wow.
They were very generous to us and supportive because, well, they knew us already.
Yeah.
And because at the time there was an arts grant through the provincial arts grant, but then at the time the arts councils that's how we found about grants.
Yeah.
So we didn't apply to the province, we were applying to the local Langley Arts Council.
Right.
So the deal was we had to attend meetings. So Arne was our first representative.
I went to lots
If
of
he went to
meetings.
the meetings, we'd get $200 a year.
Yeah. Oh, worthy
back then.
sacrifice.
Well, that's how we found all. This is how we found friends in Langley. We
Yes.
started supporting, each other in the arts community, and so being volunteers in Langley is just the best.
Yeah.
And so the community would expand just by one connection here, one connection there, one connection here, and then
No, there's a really robust volunteer community in Langley, and especially in the arts. It's we just lucky that we moved here.
Nice. Well, those are all great stories. I don't know what your notes. Do you have other things that?
I'm just looking at all the people that. There is a fun story that's kind of community based too. Because of all our turnover of volunteers, because we do have bylaws that's we don't want people getting burnt out. So there is a bylaw saying that 6 years is maximum on the board, and so with the turnover, sometimes it can be tricky. And we did go through a bit of a patch where there was a bit of I don't know. We were trying to balance our budget and our philosophical goals, and so there was a bit of friction there. And I always credit Arne for being a team builder, because he and one of the other basins had started just going out on the golf course and having a round of whack.
Yeah.
And just for fun and laughs. So when we saw this dissension happening in our boardroom at the choir, Arne invited the opposing members to come out in the golf course and do some whacking.
We started get together and we call ourselves the hackers and whackers. So we're not professional. We're just hackers.
But
So anyway,
I just thought that was
there was
brilliant.
how
to do
many
the
was
change.
it? Probably
We've had 10 over the years.
10 from the choir.
Oh, really?
That's how we
Join
started, really, with the choir people.
Yeah.
And now we have more other people now. But
Yeah.
Oh.
so we're still together.
Yeah.
playing golf.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So, what, 20 years then of golf?
No, 2013 I think was when you invited.
13, yeah, I think.
2013 is when we found that picture of when there were 7
Oh, okay.
of the original
Yeah.
choir member golfers.
So of course, when we play golf, we talk choir too. We
Yes.
practice singing a little bit when we're hacking
Sing out
them.
on the greens.
So we have lots of fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, the basses always invited you to come to sectional rehearsals.
In Fort Langley.
Yeah, and through meeting people at choir, other couples, we've had, rehearsals here in this room because of the great acoustics.
Yeah.
So
No, they still have the get together with the bases, but Fort Langley is a little far from me in the evening.
Yeah.
I have trouble with the cars and stuff, seating and stuff.
Right.
So I don't go there, but
we have a tenor friend that comes over and we try to rehearse with him, and
yeah,
yeah.
he comes.
So we do
over.
3-part
Yeah.
rehearsals.
Good
Yeah.
for you guys. Builds independence. Fun.
Yeah.
And also, we have an awesome director
No.
who knows how to get us rehearsing with our media files, and
She's
and
very
so-
strict.
I won't pass it on.
but
No,
brilliant all the same.
We could not. We couldn't manage without her. Now we have to keep her.
Number 8, lucky number 8.
Yeah.
8. Oh, isn't
Isn't
that funny?
it? Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Wow.
Never thought of that.
Yeah. That's it's 30 years is a long time for lots of things going on, and it's so incredible to me that you have been there through the whole journey,
Yeah.
from start to where we are, and
Yeah, I think I think because we come from such different backgrounds, and the bond was music, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe it saved our marriage too.
Probably. Yeah.
it's a great activity for couples. We have a lot of couples in our group.
Yeah, we do
Yes,
now.
we do.
Yeah.
Oh, and yes, and I wanted to mention too. Was it 2016? When was it the ambassadors started? And I because I forgot to mention, once we moved into the music school, our numbers doubled, and we had to put a cap on 80 to fit in the rehearsal room.
Yeah.
We could have had 100 probably, but we had 80, and so we could no longer fit our little community sing outs in the hospital, extended care and other places. So the Langley Community Chorus ambassadors now go out and do things in the community on our behalf, which is wonderful because we feel like we've kind of done our bit doing Christmas caroling outside around fires and
freezing.
Yeah.
so and hockey rinks.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just been really heartwarming to see all the people that come forward to volunteer, especially the ambassadors. They work hard in the community.
Yeah,
They
they've
do.
done a lot of gigs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I'm curious about that certificate of community
Builders, you've got to
Yes.
have friends.
Yes, where did that come from? And
That is another, community organization, and I recognize the names of the people who started that, and I think it's just a way to for welcoming people into the community. They used to meet. I don't know if it is happening anymore, but you got to have friends. We're in the paper all the time with how they brought people together for certain things, And somebody in our choir nominated Langley Community Chorus for that year's award
Nice.
for building community,
Yeah.
because that was a couple. Do you remember?
No,
Joan and
I don't remember.
Oh, F?
yeah.
Oh yeah,
It was Joan, I think, nominated
Oh,
us.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they were
So-
together. Well,
Yeah,
we lost a
but
long
she
time.
nominated us for that award, and I, you know, like I guess most people in the choir might not have known
No.
what it was, but to me it meant a lot,
Yes,
because
of
that
course.
was the.
The goal.
I mean, a lot of people sing in the choir and don't know that we have a mission statement and goals and things that we shoot for. So that definitely fit for us, and it was a great honor. So
No.
yeah.
Are there other things in there that you?
Let's see.
Touch on.
What draws us to singing? What draws you to singing? What draws you to singing in a group? Were some of the questions that we were asked.
Yes.
Well, my answer for what draws me to singing is the harmony.
Oh, the harmony.
It's like,
Get together.
they talk about a bouquet of flowers. If it's all tulips, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But if it's a blended, it's spectacular. So that's how I think of for SATV choirs and more. And then what draws you to singing in a group? I joke about it being safety numbers, but really to be part of something larger, and it's like that that note that comes all by itself.
The fifth.
The whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
Yes.
And that is something that's really magical.
There's lots of times that I don't want to go to choir tonight, if you don't feel like it, And then she drags me out. We get to the choir, and I'm so glad I went, because I'm so happy going home again, and I did it.
Yeah.
So,
Something very therapeutic.
uplifting.
Oh, and remember what Stan used to say, one of the original members?
Stan
He
McQuarrie.
says, I sing for my own amazement. And that's kind of what we're coming home going, I can't believe we did that tonight. We sing for our own amazement.
That's really funny.
So you had, I think there were other questions here. That would be what we'd say to ourselves.
Yeah.
From 30 years ago, we would never have imagined
No.
being here now.
No.
And let's see, performance highlights.
Yeah. Without mask.
Well, yeah.
Hopefully one day.
Yeah, soon.
Yeah, performance highlights. Do you know, though, the whole journey through that pandemic, to me, was a highlight. Just the spirit of survival.
Yeah.
We hear of so many other groups that didn't make it through. Yeah. And I think it's just that, like I said, that sum is greater than the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
Yeah.
Is the spirit that carried us through, I think. Plus our fabulous director, who is a technician. But really,
Yeah. Lots of
it's a spirit.
Yeah, lots of them didn't make it.
And I have to say this, pay attention. It is now more Canadians singing in choirs than playing hockey.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Oh, I see.
So we expect to have healthier Canadians
Yeah.
because of that, because it does.
Yeah.
I think it does keep us healthy.
I think so.
Other couples we've known in the choir, worried about their partner's onset of dementia and so on, and insisted they come to choir. And honestly, when they could no longer, find their way through the music and it became a distraction, they could still drive to our concerts.
Yeah.
And I think there's research going on about how, what an impact singing in a choir can have on our health and our, continued health.
Yeah.
And especially, I remember my girlfriend's mother had been put in a residence for dementia until they started a choir there.
In the
Yeah.
hospital.
All of a sudden, I'd see her when we were going to perform for the seniors, and she'd say, "Well, I don't know why Shelley's not here. I better call her." And she dialed her number. Like,
Oh, wow.
you know, it's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
so. I hope that's answered some questions because there's been-
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm thrilled. There's all sorts of great material there. That's wonderful. Thank you. You guys. I think I think I can use
Cut and
yeah, and
But
But
there's
if
gonna
you
be
want to
some
do
singing
something
and-
over, you can, feel